Recording has started.
All right, very good. Click on the right application and the space bar will work. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for getting up on this rainy Saturday morning and joining us here. I'm going to go through what First Tech Challenge is in Georgia and how things are going to be or may be. There is some uncertainty to certain things, but we're going to get through it and have a great season. So First Tech Challenge here, we have a great group of volunteers in place. We have a wonderful committee. We've broken out into different committee groups and subcommittees, and we're spreading out the work amongst experts within the group. For instance, John Quarles. Last season, I sent out the newsletter. This season, John Quarles has joined the committee, and he is the coach team liaison. He will reach out to you with newsletters on occasion, and then you can ask him questions on a coach level. He's your one-to-one resource within our committee to help you if you have any questions. I think I have his contact info in here, but if not, I'm going to make sure that everybody has his contact info. He's put it out in the newsletters. Don't be afraid to reach out and get back to him. He's also making suggestions in newsletters. He should be receiving a lot of them this week because of all the information that's going out, and it's constantly changing new things in place. He's going to be your first contact to get information to you. If you're behind a school firewall, make sure to check that you're getting the newsletters to you and that all the information is coming through. If you at any time feel like you're being neglected on information, please reach out to us, let us know, and we can try to find a way around what the issues are. Also, if you happen to have a firewall issue at the school, go ahead and try to use a Gmail account, for instance, instead. Those tend to receive the newsletters a lot more easily than some of the firewalls. Okay, so I wanted to make sure you know who I was. For those who have not met me before, I'm Stephen Hovey. I am a 25-year electrical engineer, and I do systems engineering right now. That's my day job. As a matter of fact, my day job is right behind me. I actually work from home and have been working from home normally for about a year at this point, a little over a year. So I'm one of the few that didn't have to relocate when the COVID hit. I was already online. I am originally from Michigan, Ottawa County, a place called Grand Haven. I was born in Muskegon, right above it. And when I was involved there, they didn't have anything on robotics at all. Of course, I graduated from high school in 1989, so that's probably a good reason why the program didn't start until then. I do like the winters there, though. It's nice, pretty stuff goes on up there. I also went to school, in case that was cold enough, in Houghton, Michigan. Michigan Tech graduate with my electrical engineering back in 1994. And then I went, that's a 10-hour drive, and you got to have the right car to drive that trip up there in Michigan sometimes. I also went back to Ottawa County and worked for a company called Prince Corporation, and they actually hosted one of the first FRC teams back in '94, and that was my first introduction to FIRST. So I've worked at a lot of places, I've worked for a lot of companies. As a matter of fact, my list of places I've worked for looks a lot like a sponsorship board, but I've had my hands in a lot of different things. And when I came down to Georgia back in 2009, there wasn't any robotics where I was at. And because I knew of FIRST, I started 2 First Lego League teams, each one having one of my twins. And then also the next year, I decided, well, let's do 3. First Lego League got me started, ran some events as well, formed a robotics organization, and ran First Lego League qualifiers down in Dublin, Georgia for about 4 years. Also had some expos there for junior. In addition, for about a year, I was a lead control system advisor for First Robotics. Got some experience about First Robotics in that area, and also had the pleasure of having a great group of people help and work together to present the First Tech Challenge South Super Regional Championship in Athens for 2 seasons before we stopped doing Super Regionals. Enough about me. Let's talk about the program. What is First Tech Challenge? In First Tech Challenge, teams get to design a robot. They get challenged to think outside the box on different solutions on how to complete things. So you get to ask yourself, what do you think First Tech Challenge is about? What do you think kids get to do in First Tech Challenge? And what do you think they get to learn from participating in First Tech Challenge? From the design standpoint, it could be engineering. It could be how mechanics work. You get to use the physics that they've learned. They get to build that robot from the designs they've made, from the pencil sketches and napkin sketches, whether they use a CAD program. They get to program that, make it automate and work, and also get to operate it on a field. And in this season, it's going to be either in an in-person traditional event or even remotely in their own robotics lab. And then that operation will also allow them to compete in one form or another. It is way more than building robots, though. It's about what the kids learn from it. The robot is a tool to help the kids have a good future, and you are there to help them understand the tools that they're using to build themselves. So one of the philosophies that we have in FIRST is gracious professionalism and cooperation. Gracious professionalism is how we treat each other and how we compete aggressively while still being gracious to each other and professional in everything that we do. We also have our core values. We have discovery. We explore new skills and ideas. And these are FIRST core values across the board. Innovation. We use creativity and persistence to solve problems. What is our impact? We apply what we learn to improve our world. Inclusion. We respect each other and embrace our differences. Teamwork. We are stronger when we work together. And fun. We enjoy and celebrate what we do. All right, some team basics about First Tech Challenge. What does a team need? Well, as we mentioned in the previous MAC General, we need 2 adult mentors, both needing YPP training. You need a meeting place. Where are you going to build the robot? You kit of parts. What parts are you going to use to put the robot together? And a lot of kit of parts. You have a few different brands you can work with. The first one is the Lego Education Kit. The second one is Rev Robotics. They have the control module that you need to use. They also have a good robot kit. GoBuilda is also another place that is putting out kits of parts for robots. I do know the first 2 you can purchase through the FIRST website. GoBuilda is a separate entity that's not through the FIRST website. You have to go to their webpage to do to get their parts. You also need the set of game rules. Now, the game manual part 1 is already released, and today game manual part 2 comes out, which has some really cool details about the game itself. Be on the lookout for that. That should be released after, I want to say it's going to be after 12:30. I don't know how fast they'll get the links up, but those will be available today. You also have to have a budget and methods of fundraising. We discussed that in general in the previous MAC. And then you have to have a desire to make it all work. What is a time commitment? There's team meetings. There's sessions that you need to have for building. Uh, there's league meets, whether it be remote, and I'm going to define three different types of formats here. You're going to have a remote league meet, which is done uh, in your lab. You're going to have what I call in person, which is still a remote, but a site has provided the field that you can go to, and you would follow distancing guidelines and safety measures. And then there's also the traditional, which we're all familiar with if you're a veteran, the 2-on-2 alliance matches, also needing to follow the safety guidelines. And beyond the league meets are the tournaments, the league tournament, the state championship. Those are two big events that we're hoping to have as traditional events when we get to those in January and February. What special skills do you need? As a mentor, a coach, you don't really need any special skills. Think about what you're good at, though. You may have some skills that you didn't realize would be of big benefit to the team. Organization, for instance, is a good skill. How to bring the team together. Are you an engineer? Do you know of an engineer? Is your spouse an engineer? Is somebody you know into marketing? Can they help the team present themselves? Work on their engineering notebook in a way that sells the team. And also be willing to learn with the team, because a lot of things that the team will learn, even the coaches and mentors don't know. And the students will find things that you didn't know exist that they could use as they move along. So what do the kids get to do in First Tech Challenge? Well, the robots, as we had talked about before, design, build, program. They also get real-world application for their math, their science, and they develop teamwork through problem solving and collaboration. Team building is a strong point behind what FIRST is, working together. It's a real world thing, having a good team that can work together, especially in a remote format. As I mentioned earlier, I am a work from home person, but I have teams that I work with in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Belgium, and California, Montreal, Guadalajara. Working with team building collaboration over a Zoom interface is actually a very good skill to get. So that's actually something to be thankful this season, I think, that we're learning that method of team building. Other things that the First Tech Challenge students can do is help First LEGO League teams get some leadership development among themselves, becoming strong leaders, and also showing what gracious professionalism is. The students will get to compete in different formats, cooperate and compete while they're doing what they're doing. A little more difficult to have the cooperation between teams in a remote setting, which is why we hope to get to the traditional setting. But there is the ability to share what your robot is doing, whether it be through a YouTube channel, videos, or reaching out to other teams virtually to compare notes and help them out. There are awards on and off the field. You have the robot performance, and you also have the judging awards. And the tiered format is how the competitions go on, advancement. When students graduate, they get the future benefits of scholarships for college. They also have the benefit of the alumni network. Networking is a great way to find great jobs out there from other alumni who've been in the program before. They know what FIRST students are doing and are capable of, and are excited to help graduating seniors find internships and even further beyond college, full-time jobs in the fields that they enjoy. And the biggest thing about this is the students get to have fun, as well as the mentors, the coaches, anyone who participates with them. They have a great time. To start a team in First Tech Challenge in Georgia, there is no experience required, but also know that you are never alone. We have the newsletter. We have, as I mentioned earlier, John Quarles. You can reach out to him and ask questions. You can reach out to me anytime. We are all here for you to communicate with, to help you get over any stumbling blocks that you're into. You can call First directly, contact them. If there's ever any time you don't understand something or you're having information that's hard to find, uh, contact us. Gather support resources, enlist coaches and mentors. These are things you need to do. Gathering your support resources, like where's your funding coming from, get your school buy-in, enlist coaches and mentors for your team. There's two things you need to register and pay for. The first one being First National, the second one being the Georgia competition program, the league meets, the tournaments themselves. Build your team with your students by bringing in students, do some fundraising, learn about safety, including the social distancing, masks, safety glasses, and we mentioned the mentor and team resources in the general, the mentor manual. Review those resources and learn about the program itself, and find out what you don't know. Everything is online. If you search FTC Start a Team, you should be able to find what you need. And I think Federal and Trade Communications does not have a team that you can start. So this one should work on Google just as FTC. I think if I do the search here, it'll pop up a window, and this is the first thing that shows up in my search is Start a First Tech Challenge team with First. And you have this information right here at your fingertips on how to start and register a team with the First program. This does not have the information on the Georgia First registration. It does have the information on how to start a team and get them registered with the national program. Okay, fundraising and soliciting help. There is a First Tech Challenge fundraising guide that's available. It was available back in Rover Ruckus. It was available last season for Skystone. Should be available again here this season. And you can do a search for FTC fundraising guide to find that. To attract mentors, there is the First Tech Challenge Mentor Manual. This is what we mentioned in the previous session. You can search for the FTC Mentor Manual to find that. There's a lot of good information in there, and every mentor, every coach should read that document. And additionally, if you want parent involvement, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Depends on what parents you have. It is a common issue for most group activities getting parents involved. They can help with food. They can help with some management. They may have certain technical skills. You can search on Google for parent participation in school activities. And there's a lot of general information out there that will help because robotics isn't the only place that we have issues getting parents involved. There's a lot of different programs. It's a shared challenge. Search parent participation in school activities, and you'll find a lot of stuff out there. Regarding resources, materials, and parts, there's a lot out there in the world on what you can buy, what you can get. It can sometimes be overwhelming. Do you buy a rev part? Do you buy a go build a part? Let the kids research the that they think they need and try to find a solution that helps them build the robot that they want. One place to get started, though, is for resources. You're going to see a pattern with this. First Tech Challenge resources. Now, I spelled First Tech Challenge out because sometimes the Federal Trade Commission can get in the way of this one. First Tech Challenge resources. You can also look for materials by searching for First Tech Challenge materials. And additionally, parts, same pattern. With, for instance, materials, I do the search now and almost don't know what's going to pop up with these because it changes over the years. But I've had this same link in place for years. It comes up with whatever's new here. Ultimate goal, challenge here, ultimate goal here brings me to the resources, the game manual part 1. Part 2 comes out today. Different things, information that you could use. By searching for that, you will find the resources you need. And there are other types of resources that you can get into. What are the legal parts? And then eventually you get to PITSCO, or Oregon has some information. Other different states might have something that would be helpful to you. Andy Mark. Things that are related to First Tech Challenge. The same will happen with resources and with parts. Cost and registration. Now, if you haven't registered your team yet, you might not be familiar with what the costs of starting a team will be. If you are a rookie team, first time out, it costs $275 to register your team as a First Tech Challenge team with First in Manchester. There are a lot of grants out there that will cover this $275. And I mentioned this before. If you are getting a grant, make sure the grant pays for your registration and comes through before you pay it yourself. If you end up paying it yourself and you had a grant coming in to pay your registration, the grant will no longer be available. So keep an eye on that. You can see that through your First dashboard, whether or not that's true or not. And you know if you've applied for a grant. And I think I'm going to talk about grants here in a little bit. Georgia League registration is $250 this year. The $250 will get you into a league that your team can participate in a few league meets plus the league tournament at the end. And from the league tournament, they would advance to the state event, which is an additional cost beyond this. But the $250 will get you into the meets and into the league tournament as one package. That's an opportunity to participate in, at least 24 matches in a competition format. Kit of parts, you could budget about $1,000 for a kit of parts to get all the robot parts you need at a minimum. You can go well beyond that. You can spend thousands of dollars on all kinds of different things, 3D modeling, support, more parts that you need to do special things. It all depends on what the kids want to do. But $1,000 is a good starting point. If you're going to buy a field perimeter and components for it, field perimeter and tiles, such as what AndyMark has, it's about $800 for that, to buy those things. This is the standard thing that you'd use year after year for the team. You can also build your own. There are plans out there to build your own perimeter. The tiles you can't really build. You have to use specific tiles, and you want to use specific tiles, the foam tiles that are found on AndyMark, because you don't want the grip or the change on the wheels to be different between your field and what the competition fields are if you go into an in-person. So use the same tiles. That's very important. But the field perimeter, you could build a homemade version and save some money there. Also, the game set is it's a range of prices. If you get a half field, which a lot of teams are going to need to do this year for remote events, is buy a half field game set. The price range is up to $450 for the full field. So an overall starting budget, it's under $3,000 for one team of students. Team students can range anywhere from a few students to 15 students. So you can divide that up easily enough if you're going to do any type of funding from the students, such as dues. There's also grant opportunities, and I believe this link works. This is where you would find some grants online for First Tech Challenge. And what is First Tech Challenge grants and what grants are available? Grant opportunities. First Tech Challenge Rookie Grant, for instance. think that's it right now, but there are other local grants as well over the summer. As you get into not this season, but next season, there's a DoD grant that a lot of teams take advantage of. That has to be completed in July, I think. I'm not completely clear on the dates, but you can get into those grants at that time. If you're a veteran team, the costs change a little bit. Mentioned before, the kit of parts could be a low cost because you would reuse some of the things that you have, but the price, of course, can be whatever it is, your student's dream. Field perimeter and components, you still have that, so it lasts year after year. You don't have to buy that again. You do need to purchase a game set again every year if you plan to work with the components and do your own thing. This season, there are plans, or there will be plans out that you could actually build your own game set. You don't necessarily have to purchase it from any market if you want to save some money and you want to get creative with it, but you can build your own game set from those plans. So watch the resources that I showed earlier. When the Game Manual Part 2 comes out, if not today, soon after, there should be plans on building your own game set. That's the route you want to take. So if you want to save money on this list, or you need to save money, there are some ideas on how to save on that cost. Borrow or reuse tools. Maybe there's tools already existing in your organization that aren't being used or are in a place that you could borrow from. Don't buy team swag. A lot of times when the team starts out, they want to buy a lot of things like shirts, buttons, things to give away. Get a handle on your team costs first before you get into the swag part. Learn about how the robot stuff works and don't get buried in the swag. Figure out your fuel and transportation. Maybe you can get that donated. Maybe you can have a company or a sponsor give you gas cards or can even provide transportation for you. If it's a school, you usually have to use the school's transportation, depends on the policies. And you need to pay for that. So you could have a business actually give you funds for that to help you out with that. See if you can get your printing costs donated. Who has a printer that they're saying, yeah, I'll print out some stuff for you. Reuse t-shirts. Design a t-shirt. If you're going to have t-shirts for your team, design a t-shirt that could be reused for a couple of years. Kids grow. You may have to buy new shirts, but if you can use it a couple years, it does cut that cost in half. And even on displays for your pit. At state championship, we provide 10 by 10 pits in the traditional sense that the teams will decorate. I've seen PVC frames. I've seen tents. Last year, we provided 9 by 9 pits, so you want to make sure that whatever it is you put together can be adjusted for size. But then there is a there's inexpensive ways to go about that with the PVC or buying. I think a lot of students last year, a lot of teams last year bought these. The only tents you could get that were 9 by 9 were sporting tents, and if otherwise they were all 10 by 10 and you had to shrink it in. It's really kind of odd when you do that. So if you can go with a PVC or a custom setup, you probably have better luck, and then you can do whatever you want to with that type of display. A little bit off track there. Let me pull it back here. Build a low-cost field perimeter, and that's something I'd mentioned in the last slide about saving money. I have a link to this, and it's actually a search, low-cost field perimeter build guide. And this here is, if you don't want to purchase the AndyMark version, you can build your own field perimeter. Yeah, they don't have their bookmarks in place. I'm going to shrink this back a little bit so you can see a little bit better. List of parts. Here's some PVC, PVC cement, wood board screws, and the cutout patterns that you need, which eventually build a nice rectangular field that actually comes apart if you don't glue the joints everywhere. It works perfect. It doesn't cost as much. Now, in a remote sense, when we are doing remote events, you'll be running your robot in your lab. It is okay to use these field perimeters. It's not an issue to have to use that because we know that money can be tight for some things. So that a simple solution is use what you've got. You could also get away with not using perimeter for your remote matches, but there are aspects of the game that you want the perimeter. Okay. You could also not buy all the field tiles for your lab. You could, instead of buying all 36 tiles, you could buy a half field of tiles, for instance, just because you only need enough to practice on or to run your matches. And buying half the field components, like I said, a lot of teams are going to be doing that this season. All right, so with cost and registration, we talked about the first dashboard before. I want to reiterate, make sure your information is accurate and that your email addresses are valid. And make sure to update that information regularly. A bad email will cause a bounce and we can't get information to you. We pull our mailing lists to contact you in Georgia through the FIRST system. And additionally, we'll also pull emails through our Georgia event registration system, which is going to be new this year. I'll talk about that in a little bit. On the state level, local and state level, we do have support. You can stay connected with us and get your pens ready. There's some information here. We do have the monthly newsletters that I mentioned before that John Quarles is sending out. You can also see us on facebook.com/FTC teams and Georgia FTC. One is a page, one is a group. Additionally, you can reach out to me, the affiliate partner, at this phone number. This is a phone number I've had since I was in Dublin. I've had it for 10 years. It's still good. I do have an app on there about, I call it RoboKiller because that's what it's called. If you do get that, just say who you are. It'll pass you through. It should be just fine. Additionally, you can contact our first senior mentor, Terry Verheyen, and she has that number. You can also reach her at the email address down there. I do want to make sure that I get you the John Quarles information, so I'll try to bring that up in the Q&A so you are able to reach out to him, but his contact information is in the monthly newsletters. He's offered his help, and he's also a great resource. He's been a coach for a number of years and has a lot more experience than myself when it comes to coaching a team. All right, so another way to keep connected, and Terry Verheyen is actually hosting this, is Coach's Coffee, something we're doing this season mostly because we all have to work remotely with the environment. So Terry Verheyen is going to host these, and they're going to be every third Monday. Ultimate Goal, presented by Qualcomm, is a very special and unique season, and coaches are facing many new challenges, and we just want to make sure that you know that you're not alone. And Terry is excited to hear how creative our first community is. So the Coach's Coffee is specially designed for you, our coaches, to connect, and will be your time to chat with other coaches. And these are coaches from all across the state. We'll gather insights, experiences, and much more. So don't forget to join Terry the third Monday of each month. Grab a cup of coffee or your choice of beverage, and the September meeting coming up on the 21st of September is the first one. There'll be more information provided in the newsletter. Keep an eye out for that. There'll be links to the Zoom meeting where this will happen in the newsletter. And just be ready to converse and tell us your worries and learn something from each other. The September meeting will be an open topic, and future meetings may have special guests. So there is one meeting coming up. That's the third Monday is December 21st. That might get rescheduled. All depends. It might actually not. We'll probably learn from the coaches who are in those meetings whether or not they need to reschedule those. All right. Check your newsletter for details. So what is the 2020-21 season calendar? It's a little different than for the previous ones, but only for First Tech Challenge, it's only slightly different. and that is over at the first championship. It's being pushed out to July. Everything else is sitting on the same timeline. We've done our jump start. We are having teams register for the 2020-21 season. Uh, the June through August time is practice programming and driving your robot. Now, I've seen a lot of teams have been reluctant to start teams because they didn't know what was going on, and there's been a slow progression for team registration this year. As a matter of fact, I think first overall is way down on numbers because of the uncertainty. I think we're at about on track for about I want to say 50% enrollment over the previous year because of what was going on with COVID. September, attend the First Tech Challenge kickoff. Here we are. First Tech Challenge kickoff is happening today. We're at that point. October through March, we will have our league meets, our tournaments in January, and our state is still scheduled for February, so we haven't moved that. And then first championship, we'll have to wait a little bit, but it'll be in July. If your student is a graduating senior, they will still be allowed to participate in the first championship as their schedule permits. We currently are expecting about 125 teams this season. With our current growth pattern, we are actually well ahead of the game for how many teams we have registered in Georgia. Across that, we will have 10 leagues, 2 of them which are large leagues, and that's really about how many students each league can handle. And we will have 6 league tournaments, followed by 1 state championship. The league formats themselves, this is a little bit new this season. We're going to have 1 league that is fully traditional. It'll require social distancing and guidelines to follow with masks and safety. It's going to be fully traditional with safety measures in place. We have 1 league that's going to be fully remote. That's all the meets and the league tournament. Going to be fully remote. And we'll follow the remote manual. And all other leagues are planning to start remote and may transition to traditional about their 4th or 5th meet. That's the current plan with those. We're playing those by ear when they transition, but right now they're all going to start remote. So when you get into the registration system for events, which isn't open yet, it's going to open on September 28th, you will be able to choose which type of event that you want to, or which league that you want to be part of. You can be a part of the traditional one, which may require that you drive to it. If you're down in Albany, you might not want to be part of that traditional one because that's a 3-hour drive. The traditional one is in the Canton, Georgia area. It's going between Rome and Canton, Georgia. You could also be a part of the fully remote one if your school is saying no travel for anybody. That one's probably going to be a little easier to get into from that respect. But all others will start remote and will likely transition. So I'm going to ask one thing, a favor of everyone that's here. If you have my email, please drop me a line on that email if you have an interest in the fully traditional league. If your school will allow it, if your organization will allow it, I want to make sure that we are able to provide enough space for teams that are interested in fully traditional and that will sign up for it in that sense. I don't quite have a temperature on what schools are allowing regarding meeting traditionally. So if I can get some information from you, if you're interested in that, drop me a line. It's shovey@gafirst.org. Let me know where you're at with that. Also, if you want to drop me a line for fully remote, you can do that. That one should not be too difficult to get into. I can make that larger, a lot easier since everyone will have their own field and it's not really a space issue. Okay. And that should say 2020, 2021. You don't catch everything when you reuse slides to save time. But our kickoff and reveal is today. Our meets will run no earlier than October 17th and run all the way through January 11th. Our league tournaments, our earliest one right now is scheduled December 12th. It might change to January. Our latest one runs out to January 24th, and that's league dependent. Our state championship is scheduled for February 19th through 20th, same location we had last year if you're familiar with it. It's in the Cobb Civic Center. And our World Championship date is to be determined since it's now being rescheduled. So we'll have more information on that later. So where does the season begin? Right here at kickoff. Workshops, attend those workshops, network with others best you can. It's our season starter. It's where all the kids get excited. We learn about the game. And at 1:30, we have a referee Q&A where Lori O'Neill, our head state referee, will be live on a field with the elements at 1:30 in a format where you can do Q&A to learn more about the rules and the details from Lori herself. So leagues in Georgia, if you don't know what a league is, this is what it is. A league is about 12 teams per league on average, and they have 3 to 5 meets per league. The league may or may not have judging practice this season. I'm going to leave it up to the leagues to determine if they have that. But if they do, it would be in a virtual setting where the team would get on a Zoom meeting with the judges and practice and learn from that. There are 2 to 3 leagues that would combine for league tournaments. This season, there'll be a lot of leagues that'll have their own league tournament. Particularly the traditional one will be its own league tournament, and the all remote will be its own league tournament. And then we will have our state championship and advancement to Worlds. Here is our plan right now for our leagues. These are the 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 leagues that we have planned right now and the size that we need to have them to be. Preliminarily, the Macon, Columbus, and Albany will combine into one league tournament, and Marietta and Douglasville will combine into one league tournament. All the rest will have their own league tournaments. But just realize that that information may change as we go forward. You'll see these in the registration system that opens up on September 28th when you choose which league that you want to be in. League progression. Your league, whatever team your league is in, will have a meet. And this season, it's actually 6 matches, whether it's remote or traditional. They'll go to another meet. They've iterated off the first one, learned from it, fixed their robot, made some improvements, went to another meet. Do the same thing for a third meet. From these meets, they'll take the 10 best matches into the league tournament, and that'll be the initial ranking in the league tournament. Your league may or may not combine with another league. Will go into the league tournament, and this year they may be smaller, 12 to 36 teams. We'll add 5 more matches to go with the 10 that you brought in. Those 5 matches will help determine the rankings. If it's a remote league, it's purely all about the rankings. If it's a traditional league, there will be elimination matches. And also there will be judging. Now, even if a league is a traditional league, judging may still be done virtually. We can do that with the judging. So a league tournament may happen on a Saturday, for instance, if it's traditional, but judging could happen the week leading up to it. All depends on what the environment is like at the time and how we want to approach that. So keep that in mind, that judging may be on site the day of, or may be virtual in the week leading up to the event. To advance to state, we're going to have a smaller state championship this season. Last year we had a dual with 48 teams. We're going to go a little smaller this season because our numbers are down. We don't have enough teams to go to a dual division. So we'll have a league. We'll advance 4 to 6 teams on average. Another league will advance 4 to 6 teams. The other 4 leagues will bring in their 16 to 24 teams total. And we'll have a state championship at the Cobb Civic Center. What is the event experience? For a meet, they're informal events. As I mentioned, 3 to 5 meets offered per league. Each meet, the team will compete in 6 matches, whether remote or on site. And teams will build on the iterative process. That's the nice thing about meets is you can learn from one and improve as you go through the season. Don't forget to participate in the first meet. The first meet you go to is the biggest learning experience of your team. If you delay to the third meet in the season, you'll have missed an opportunity for the first and second meet. And the first meet is usually, a lot of teams will consider it the throwaway meet because most of the scores in the first meet don't make it past muster for the 10 best. You'll learn a lot from it. It's almost like a scrimmage. You don't get anything unless you actually go. Traditional meets, short 3 to 5 hour events. They will be the 2 versus 2 alliance format and will use the full competition field. I've got some animations that are broken. Okay, remote meets. Multi-day events. Now, remote meets can be up to 7 days long, and what that means is through your dashboard, your team will have access to a web-based scoring system that you will report scores to for your team. You won't have a referee. You won't need to do video for your official events, but it is suggested that a coach takes referee and inspection training, whether it be the coach, the second coach, or a mentor, or another adult parent that can play the roles of referee and inspector to make sure everything is correct. If for some reason, at some point, the event changes to traditional, you don't want to be surprised and find out that your robot is not qualified to compete in traditional events, because at a traditional event, there will be referees, there will be inspectors, and there will be the rules to follow for all of that. On a remote meet, you'll have a solo performance of your robot on a half field. Okay. And like I mentioned earlier, judging practice may or may not occur. They are typically offered at the second or third meet for a league. The teams will present at a mock judging session, and it allows for team feedback. In previous seasons, judging feedback was not allowed to be given at events, so this offered the opportunity for feedback. This season, there's something new. There actually is the opportunity to request feedback from judges, but you have to request it. And then they can give you feedback in a particular form that they're supposed to follow that FIRST has provided. So you do have the opportunity to get feedback now at official events. And as I said, these things may be performed virtually. For the league tournament, it's an all-day traditional event or a multi-day remote event. It'll follow the same format as the meets for the remote event, with judging schedules occurring throughout the week, to as far as everything happening in one day. We add the elimination matches if we are traditional. If we're a remote league tournament, we do not have elimination matches. We go by the rankings of the scores of the events, of the matches. And like I said, we add judging for awards. Coming into the league tournament, teams are ranked best 10 meet matches, and then they'll add 5 additional new matches. And it's sometimes a surprise when teams get into a league tournament. They get their 10 meet matches in there, but all of a sudden now they have these 5 new matches that have greatly changed their ranking. Those 5 additional new matches have a profound effect on the ranking order. Say, for instance, you go into a league tournament with all wins, last season was all wins, or really high scores. What do those 5 additional new matches do to the overall rankings? They're very potent, especially if, and we're no longer in the 10 best. You take the 10 best, add your 5 matches, you have one match that goes really sour. It really can affect the ranking. So it's very important to prepare for those 5 new matches. And then the event experience at state championship, advancement to it is required from the events. Teams will be invited. It's actually a day and a half. The Friday before is set up for the pit area if we have a traditional event. If it's a remote event, for whatever reason, there won't need to be the first half day. We may have judging throughout the week. And then Friday, that's the Friday part. And then Saturday is where we do the matches and the awards. How is ranking done this year? Ranking points are calculated as the sum of the match scores. For traditional, it's the alliance match scores. For remote, it's the team match scores. And the tie-breaking points are done in two layers. The first one is if you have the same score, then we look at your sum of your alliance autonomous period or your team autonomous period for remote. And if that's still tied, we then look at the sum of your alliance endgame task scores or your team endgame task scores if it's remote. Beyond that, the teams are exactly matched, so we do a random draw to rank them. The different awards that are out there, you can find these in the game manual as it comes out. Dean's List, Inspire Award, Think Award, Connect Award. There's the Collins Aerospace Innovate Award, Design Award, Motivate Award, Control Award. Control Award is one that the teams have to apply for to be considered. It doesn't just happen. Make sure that your team applies for it so that they can be considered for the Control Award as they're coming up to an event. More information can be found in the game manual on all these different awards that are available. Additionally, non-advancing awards that are available are the Promote Award and the Compass Award. These are videos that the teams can make that are optional the Promote Award is promoting first, and the Compass Award is selecting a mentor that has been profound to the team. And the Compass Award goes to that mentor or adult or whoever it is that they nominate in their video. And there may be additional Judges Award available. So when are the events? Check your newsletters. Depends on what league you're in. The only one that you can really know of beyond the leagues is the state championship. So check the newsletters for information as it comes out. Also, the registration system will have that information available on September 28th. We'll have more information on how to use it as we get closer to that date. Make sure that you whitelist my email, especially if you're behind a firewall, so that you receive emails from me, also from John when he sends out emails for the newsletter. And if you need more information, you can always check georgiafirst.org/events about different event dates. And that is the end of the presentation. So anything you put in the Q&A, we're going to save those off for the Q&A session coming up at 1:30. We only have about 3 minutes left to our time here. I've got to get prepared for the kickoff in a few minutes. So I do appreciate your time. We're going to stop the recording here and send you on your way. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon.